Saturday morning of the Memorial Day weekend, Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us here on Power Talk Radio as we are going to talk technology on the Experts program. Luis, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mark. How are you?
Not bad at all. What do you got planned for this weekend?
Well, so the Yacht Club has we're hosting the Spinnaker Cup, which is a race that starts up in San Francisco, starts Saturday afternoon and ends up in Monterey throughout Sunday, starting in the early morning hours, depending on the size of the boat. And then on Monday, they head down south. They take off to the Pacific Cup, which is another leg in the race all the way down to San Diego. So our club will be there volunteering to welcome the boaters coming down from San Francisco and providing them chili and something hot and warm to drink because it's going to be windy and cold as they come in.
So you're not going to participate in the actual Spinnaker race yourself?
No, we will just be there cheering them on, and I'm going to be working the bar at the Yacht Club and providing them sustenance on Sunday afternoon.
Now, are there any members of your club that will sail their boats up to San Francisco, get in the race, and then come down here?
Yeah, many of them have done that. So they took their boats up, some even as late as today. They'll get up there and then turn around and sail back. But there's a lot of participants from the Yacht Club that will be sailing boats.
Interesting. And about how long does it take to sail from San Fran down to Monterey for this first leg of this race?
It depends on a number of factors, as you can imagine, the size of the boat and the sail plan, as well as the wind cooperating, because you have to sail the entire time. But usually the first boats start showing up around 3 to 4 a.m., sometimes even a little earlier if the wind holds up. But most of the boats really start showing up toward the early morning hours of Sunday, so somewhere between 6 and 10 a.m.
So about how many hours would you say that would be?
Yeah, it could be anywhere from 6 to 12 hours.
Okay. Typically split off into like 4-hour watches on the boat.
Yeah. And it's an overnight race, so you have to take all those kind of precautions. But they call it the Spinnaker Cup because the wind is usually behind you the entire time. So you're flying with the spinnakers up, which is that big, colorful sail that we all come to associate with sailboats. And that provides a lot of power and really moves the boat much faster than a traditional jib.
Very cool. So there it is, cutting through the water with a lot of spray.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fouly's mandatory.
Well, it sounds like a fun time. Hope you guys have a great time with it.
Thank you so much.
Well, a new AI era is beginning, and it's Copilot and PCs. This is a new thing going on. It's turbocharged neural processing units. What exactly is this, and how does it work with AI?
Well, so, we've all been hearing about Copilot for over a year now, that Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI. To this point, it's been a software implementation. That is, there's a Copilot icon on Windows 11 desktops. There's also one on Microsoft Edge if you have used Edge as your browser. And you can even go to bing.com and get the Copilot. But now what they're doing is they're releasing, not just Microsoft, but a number of companies are releasing essentially Copilot hardware. So these are systems that use neural processing units. We think of central processing units, but these are actually faster CPUs designed specifically to work with AI in general, but the engine that powers Copilot, which is ChatGPT. So better processing power built from the ground up for AI. There's actually a Copilot button on the keyboard, so you don't have to worry about remembering where the icon is. And it comes with some really interesting features that in some cases are great, but in other cases, some people are concerned. So one of those features is something called recall. And what recall is the ability of your PC to remember where you've been, documents that you've called up, websites that you've seen. So as you work on your PC, recall is saving images of those things in a secure location on your laptop, which is good. That is, it's not storing it in the cloud. It's only stored on your PC. And when you say to yourself, hey, I went to that website and I saw these white sneakers. Hey, Copilot, can you remind me where I saw those white sneakers? It can then search its stored images to find those sneakers and pull up that web page for you. So a real time saver, or even pull up a document that you were working on. The problem is that some privacy advocates are concerned that if somebody gets a hold of your PC and gets to log in, they can actually see a lot more than just the traditional browsing history that's usually available with PCs. They can actually see everything that you've been looking at. Some people are sounding the alarm, as you can well imagine.
Wow. So that's the big concern. Is there a privacy concern concerns, because how easy would it be to hack this? Because I know that one of the things that they're talking about is as AI gets more popular and it becomes more prevalent, is there's a real genuine worry that you will be able to use AI to put words in the mouth of people, particularly politicians, during an election year. You know, you could have a post in a social media feed like Facebook of Joe Biden saying something he's never said before, and you could be sending that out. This could be like a third-party political action groups, or this could be enemies of our foreign enemies of ours could be doing this kind of a thing in order to sway an election one way or another. They could do the same thing with Donald Trump or anybody running for office, and I know there's a very real concern, but boy, once the genie's out of the bottle, how do you control this thing?
Yeah, I mean, just this past week, the FCC fined a robocaller who faked Biden's voice on on a series of calls during the New Hampshire primary, $6 million for doing something that they consider to be illegal. And I think that's, just indicative of how dangerous this technology is, especially in the hands of people that have nefarious uses for it. I mean,
right.
You can imagine the campaign, and this is being done right now, where you have a candidate, Trump or Biden, records a kind of generic message, but then the campaign can use AI to specifically change certain words to target certain communities or certain segments in the local area without having to re-record the entire thing over and over again. And that's acceptable in the sense that that's being done by the campaign themselves, but somebody could do the opposite from the other side, and you really can't control it until after the fact.
And the thing is, you can always prosecute these people, or you can fine them like the FCC has. Now, the FCC doesn't have police powers. In fact, don't. Those powers are reserved to the U.S. Marshals Service, to the FBI, NSA. And it's all well and good that you can fine someone, but does that fine just become the cost of doing business? And then the reality is, when the damage is done, the damage is done. And you can't put it all back in the bottle, so to speak.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the downside to this is, like you said, somebody may just look at it and say, hey, this is the cost of doing business, but we're going to influence the election and maybe nudge it in our favor just by doing something that may later cost us a few $1 million. But in the short term, it created an advantage for us.
Right. Oh, scary stuff. That's Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us today on Power Talk Radio. Online, alvareztg.com. On the X platform, it's at AlvarezTG. Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.
And coming up on Monday, on Memorial Day, we will be here again, 8:30 a.m. We start with the programs. And what are we talking about on Monday?
Well, if you've ever wanted a digital assistant to answer your calls for you in your voice so that you don't have to, tune in. We're going to show you how to do that.
All right. That begins 8:30 Monday morning right here on Power Talk Radio. Luis, thanks so much. Enjoy the weekend, and we will talk with you again next week.
You take care, my friend.